What's up, everybody? My name is Tucker. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some crazy stats from the beginning of this NBA season. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like rating on it. Check out my socials in the description as well. And then let's go ahead and get started. Okay, first up, we're going to talk about the Portland Trail Blazers. I thought about doing an entire video on them today, but I'm going to wait a little bit, see if some things correct themselves. They've had a very weird 3 games where they pummeled the Suns, but then they lost big to the Clippers. They didn't look good against the Kings. But Damian Lillard has certainly been struggling, especially compared to what we normally expect out of him. Here's the crazy stat. This is a list of players that are currently averaging more points per game through the first couple of games of the season than Damian Lillard. Harrison Barnes, Miles Bridges, Tyler Hero, Keldon Johnson, Desmond Bane, DeAnthony Melton, and Carmelo Anthony. Lillard is currently 58th in points per game in the NBA through the first couple of games, and he's shooting 2 for 24 from three-point range. He hasn't played well in any of the games. Even the Suns game, his stats aren't particularly good because they just completely blew the Suns out. I'm not getting worried yet, but of all the situations where you just really don't want any kind of bad vibes in the league right now, it's either Philly or Portland because of the circumstances around 2 players in Lillard and Simmons that could probably be traded at any point this year. Not an ideal start for Portland if you're a fan. If you're a Lillard, just in general, has not been a good one. Speaking of someone that was on that list previously, Harrison Barnes of the Sacramento Kings, who are doing, Kings-like things. They're just there. Harrison Barnes is currently 7th in the NBA in points per game at over 28 points per game. Now, a lot of that is because he had a game up over 30 points per game. Here's a list of players that Harrison Barnes is currently ranked ahead of in terms of points per game so far this season. Damian Lillard, as we just mentioned, Nikola Jokic, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Zach LaVine, Giannis, Luka, Bradley Beal, Joel Embiid, and Devin Booker. Harrison Barnes is ranked ahead of every single one of those guys in points per game so far. Hey, maybe this is it. Maybe, Harrison Barnes, former lottery pick, former top 10 pick. Maybe this is the breakout year for him. He's a guy that I feel like every year is like possibly on the trade block at the deadline. The Kings want to make the playoffs, so it's a good sign that he's playing well in the beginning of the year, but I don't think anybody expected him to be 7th in points per game. It's obviously a small sample size type of stat, but still. Next up, let's talk about the Brooklyn Nets. Made a video about them yesterday. 1-2 start to the season, not ideal. We talked about the James Harden free throw stuff yesterday. They played another game yesterday. They won. They beat Washington. Congrats. But Harden still did not shoot very many free throws. He shot 3 free throws once again. That is 12 total on the year. Patty Mills has made more three-pointers this season than James Harden has attempted free throws. Let me say that again. Patty Mills has made, not attempted, made more threes so far this season, 16, than James Harden has attempted free throws through 4 games, which is 12. Here's a list of players that have made more free throws through the first couple of games of the season in total than James Harden has so far this year. Terrence Ross, Evan Mobley, Jalen Suggs, and Devontae Graham have all made more free throws than James Harden, a guy that is historic in his ability to get to the free throw line and get easy points that way. It's unbelievable. I'm still expecting it to turn around at some point. It's part way the officiating. It's part way Harden not being as explosive, maybe not being in great shape. I'm still expecting it to turn around, but that is an unbelievable set of stats. Next up, let's go with some positive stuff. I feel like a lot of this has been negative. Let's talk about the Chicago Bulls, who are 4-0 to start the season for the first time since the 1996-97 season. 1996 is the last time that Chicago started a season 4-0. This is me in October 1996. That's the last time Chicago started 4-0 to start a season. That's what I looked like. It's a real picture. It's actually me. Also, the last time the Chicago Bulls started 4-0, Billy Donovan was a 31-year-old first-year head coach at the University of Florida. The last time the Chicago Bulls started 4-0, Michael Jordan only had 4 rings. The last time the Chicago Bulls started a season 4-0, Kevin Garnett was in just his 2nd NBA season, and Steve Kerr, now head coach of the Golden State Warriors, was in his 8th NBA season. Also, LeBron James, might have heard of him, was 11 years old the last time the Chicago Bulls started a season 4-0. And also, for you video game people out there, the Nintendo 64 gaming console was released in Japan in 1996, the last time the Chicago Bulls started 4-0. Great start to the year for them. Hopefully they can continue it, but that shows you just how long it's been since Chicago has been this successful to start a season. Now let's talk about some rookies. Chris Duarte, been really impressive as a rookie. Almost 20 points per game, over 44% three-point shooting on really, really high volume. Super impressive for an Indiana team, by the way, that their record's not particularly good. They haven't been really great at finishing games, but he has come in and been an instant impact guy, and that was kind of what he was supposed to be when he came into the league, right? The reason being is because he was such an old rookie. He came into the league at 24 years old, which makes him older than Jason Tatum, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Josh Jackson, and Lauri Markkanen. A rookie older than all four of those players. Granted, he's playing really well, but still, it's kind of crazy. And now, this is the one I had the most fun with because it's just out of control. We've got a lot of Russell Westbrook stats here. Russell Westbrook, as of the recording of this video, hasn't been an ideal start to his Lakers career. He is averaging 12 points per game, under 35% shooting from the floor. Here's a list of players that is currently averaging more points per game so far this season than Russell Westbrook. Grayson Allen, Damian Lee, Mo Bamba, Furkan Korkmaz, Elfrid Payton, and the asset that was traded in exchange for Russell Westbrook, Kyle Kuzma. Trust me, it gets worse. Here's a list of players that have made more total threes so far this season than Russell Westbrook. Spoiler alert, Russ has made exactly 1 3 to begin this season. Here's a list of players that have made more than 1 3 this year. Naz Reid, Gary Payton II, Obi Toppin, Paul Millsap, Jayshawn Tate, Justin Robinson, Sandro Mamukashvili, I totally messed that up, Austin Reeves, Armani Brooks, Max Strus, Jalen McDaniels, Caleb Martin, Trey Mann, Trey Lyles, Kenrich Williams, PJ Dozier, Mike Muscala, and Svi Mikhailuk. All of them. Every single one of those players has made more threes to begin this season than Russell Westbrook. Granted, not like Russ is supposed to be a great shooter, but just from a volume standpoint, with the amount of shots that Russ gets up, that's kind of a crazy list. Speaking of shots that Russell Westbrook gets up, Russell Westbrook has made 15 field goal attempts to begin this season, which sounds like a lot, but here's a list of players that have made more field goals, just made more shots in general from the floor to begin this season than Russell Westbrook has to begin his Lakers career. Anthony Simons, Ish Smith, Precious Achiuwa, and Pat Connaughton, all of them have made more field goal attempts than Russell Westbrook to begin this season. Also, it gets worse. There are 3 players in the NBA that to begin this season have made more threes, just threes, than Russell Westbrook has made field goal attempts. Let me say that again. There are 3 players in the NBA that to this point in the season have made more three-pointers than Russell Westbrook has made field goals. Those players are Patty Mills, who we mentioned earlier, LaMelo Ball, and CJ McCollum. Last point, because it's relevant to his actual team. LeBron James, might have heard of him. Pretty good for the LA Lakers. Let me go ahead and just make sure I'm reading this fully and completely so that nobody is confused. LeBron James scored more points, made more shots, and made the same amount of threes in the first 2 games of his NBA career with the Cleveland Cavaliers as an 18-year-old than Russell Westbrook has in his first 3 games with the Lakers. LeBron, as an 18-year-old straight out of high school, showing up to the NBA, scored more points, made more shots, and made the same amount of threes than Russell Westbrook did in 2 games compared to Russell Westbrook's 3 games to begin this season. That's all I got. I went as crazy as I could. I spent a lot of time trying to find legitimately the craziest NBA stats I could find. And I know that a lot of this stuff is like small sample size, right? I mean, Damian Lillard, Russell Westbrook, these guys are going to be near the top of the league in scoring by the end of the year. I get that. But it's still fun to look at, fun to compare, like Jayshawn Tate making more threes to begin the year than Russell Westbrook. Who had that one on their NBA bingo card, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed making the list. If you find any more of them, throw them at me on Twitter. I'll make a video out of more of these as we go throughout the year. This for me personally, this is just a super fun thing to kind of talk about with these crazy numbers. But that's going to be the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like rating on it. Check out my socials in the description. And yeah, check out more videos from me in the box and screen as well. Hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.